Hello, everyone. My name is Joseph Perez-Caputo. I'm running Connecticut District 4 on seat Representative Jim Himes. Currently, he's having a little bit of a FISA scandal, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. He wants to hand the White House a reauthorization of that act without changes, which, coupled with the tech oligarchs and AI being where it is, it's going to create a much broader, inescapable surveillance state. So I'm a law student. I'm 33 years old. I work in medicine during the day, but as an assistant, so there's not really a lot of money there for me. Don't think my pockets are thick. I'm doing this for the love of the game. I care about my communities. I want to be able to have a farm. I want to be able to have a family. I want to be able to have a career, and I want to be able to sit for the bar. And frankly, with the direction of this country is same thing lately, with depending on who's in power. With the way this country's going, I have very healthy fears, just as everyone else, that we don't have another 2, 3 years. We have to make changes now. We have to make changes 50 years ago. So I'm a part of the Reasoned Reality Congressional pool. I'm a part of the Courage Candidate Congressional pool, and we all together uplift each other and talk policy. And we're ready to be a progressive bloc on day one. We're ready to take things to the next level post midterms and get a lot of serious reforms out there. And my whole thing is bring on the Renaissance. We want a Renaissance. If someone looked you dead in the eyes and said, "Would you rather a Renaissance or a Civil War?" No matter what your political beliefs are, pretty sure we should have the same answer, right? So that's what my campaign's all about. It's trying to bring on the Renaissance.
That's fantastic, and I just really appreciate all the things your law background, I think, is gonna come in handy with everything that's going on. I wanna
Yeah.
turn it over to Sugar Ree here. I know that, you're just in the same position as all of us. We're just regular people wanting to make a difference. What comes to your mind, Ree, as we talk here with Joe?
I'm just liking what I'm hearing so far, just kinda taking it in. Of course, it's the first I've heard of you, so, I'm glad that we can have you on and hear what you're about and what you stand for. I think that's what's really important, people need to hear. We just have all the certain medias pushing down our throat what they want us to hear, and we're trying to
Hmm.
do that, so, um,
Thank you.
yeah, hopefully we can make a dent. That's the goal.
I'd appreciate that. Media silence has been a big obstacle for my campaign. I've been campaigning since July 25,
Oh, wow.
and a lot of people are starting to learn now, but a lot of people don't know about me.
Let me just say that that is by design. That is something that has me very upset. And one of the main things I'm trying to do with these interviews is just emphasize primaries are healthy. Primaries are what we need. And it's
Hmm.
anti democratic to be anti primary. And
Agreed.
unfortunately, the establishment, DNC, is often anti democratic. And as a strategy, it's absurd because
Yeah.
when you have multiple candidates, they all canvass the district, they talk to people, then the candidates in that primary can talk to each other and you develop the pattern which allows them to interact with the people. And so what we currently have is a DNC, they anoint a candidate, they pressure
Yeah.
other candidates to withdraw, and then they don't know how to interact, and then they wonder why they don't get the turnout. So what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that, Joe?
Oh boy, where do I start?
Yeah.
Right. So I've been able to flip a couple of delegates, and I've been able to flip a couple of voters through that very thing. I've said, listen, if you believe in democracy, you need to have a primary. I'm a martial artist. Iron sharpens iron. If I'm not sparring you and we're not having that polite conversation, I don't really know if what I'm doing is helpful. So on the nose, you shouldn't be in office if you're scared of primary because that means you're already admitting you don't know what you're doing. And it doesn't matter if you're a 17-year incumbent like Representative Jim Himes or a 40-year incumbent like some of the politicians we have. A primary is a chance for the party to have a conversation with itself about what matters, right? If every Republican aisle MAGA incumbent was primaried by Republicans who are not MAGA, you would see that party dynamic change. And establishment Democrats have facilitated fascist risings and corporate risings again and again and again at every point in history, right? That's why the Democratic Party needs to have that conversation. Are we just the party of corporate fascist neoliberalism? Or do we believe in true renaissance and well being and freedom and justice for all? And do we want real progressive values? That's a conversation that much of the Democratic Party wants to have unless they take in an oath of office. Then all of a sudden they don't really want to have it anymore. And you'll find even a lot of a lot of the organizations that are meant to help progressive candidates tend to be controlled opposition, right? I've applied for a lot of things and not heard back. Uh, Now, some of that could be maybe because I'm currently registered as an independent, but that's pursuant to my ballot access laws. 40% of my district is independent because they're tired of the freeze out they get from the Democrats who let them down, but they don't like the two-party money machine. And the other aspect of that is that I can't switch over, right? Until I get the right amount of signatures. Now I can try, but a part of that's going to send a trigger to the DNC. And then you get a different ice out. So being an independent has allowed me to talk to voters, talk to delegates without dealing with the opposition I'm going to get. Right now, there are emails that don't respond back to me. There are people who don't respond back to me because at the end of the day, DNC being anti-democratic and not supporting a primary, people are scared to lose their jobs. There's a chilling effect. If I even talk to this guy, if I'm seen talking to this guy, my bosses will come down in this small world. And that'll be my political career in local or government in Connecticut, right? So, these ballot access issues create a feedback loop where if you're a local politician, you're scared to even really rock the boat too much. And that's not democratic, right? We're in an age of conflict, right? Like I go to law school. Law is adversarial. We're supposed to be challenging the gray areas and the vicissitudes of the law. And ideally, that means it helps the people rather than the corporation, right? But if you don't get money out of politics and you don't have that adversarial, polite, confrontational addressing of things, nothing evolves, nothing grows, right? So, I've been able to flip a couple people by encouraging the primary. I see the look of fear in my incumbent's eyes because I think he is one of the few people in Connecticut who believe a primary is going to happen. And that's all I need. That's all I need to go. I'm in it for the love of the game. Like I love that I get to kind of bully him into being better. But we deserve that. We deserve that access to justice.
Yes.
And progressives don't win in the general election. We don't have enough ballot access for that. Progressives win in the primaries. Progressives win because grassroots communities force them into a position, right? Because they don't give it to us. So as voters, we also have to kind of look out way ahead of the game to help get progressives onto the ballot. Because if you're looking for me in November, I might not be there. My election's right now.
Yes.
My primaries right now. Getting on the ballot is right now.
This is the
and that's sort of this relationship that the establishment doesn't want us to have with these primaries.
I just want to say too, and I've been having the same issues where you'll see that the Democrats, they're quite happy to platform a guy like Steve Bannon, and they're happy to talk to Tucker Carlson. But when it comes to like just a regular dad and an educator, all of a sudden it's just I'm just not, persona non grata. And we've seen this in our whole oligarch owned media. They don't bring experts on to talk about things. And it's sort of like we get this, everything is watered down. They only chase click rates. So we get endless stories about what the Kardashians are doing. When Marjorie Taylor Greene says something just unreasonable, that gets all kinds of coverage. But just a dad who says, hey, my wife's an immigrant. I don't want my children to be abducted by a mass police. All of a sudden, that viewpoint has no value. I just want to add, so this is our initiative on Substack. It's one creator, one candidate, and then you, whoever the person is. This is my first candidate interview with Sugar Ree, and then the idea is we'll take Substack by storm. She'll go on, interview other candidates until everybody on Substack is interviewing alternative candidates, and we're going to take back the narrative that way. But Ree, do you have any other thoughts to add?
I just was going to say it feels like our current Democratic Party is like they start at the beginning of they're like at the beginning of the right. They're not democratic. They're just beginning of the right, and then it goes all the way to the extreme of the right, and we definitely need to change that. And I think that's why they're happy to platform someone like Steve Bannon or to take control of the narrative, and not let the people be heard. And I definitely think that we need to deal with that. And I heard someone else say the other day that there's like 23 or 28 states that if you're registered as an independent, you can't vote in the primaries.
Which
And
is
so
one of
that's
mine.
that we got to deal with, because I guess that was just another way they figured to control who runs, you know? I don't
Yeah.
know the I don't know what the answer for that is. I don't know if we just pretend. I don't know, maybe we do what they do and we pretend to be Democrats or we pretend to be Republicans until we get in, they say, "Oh, just kidding. We're really progressive, decent people."
Yeah.
Surprise.
Really
Yeah.
decent surprise. All right, go ahead.
I was advised to do that. That was a serious conversation someone told me I had the power to do, and I would just rather be myself. I want people to have an informed vote, and I don't want to deceive them. But with so much ballot access, like it becomes something to think about, right? I mean, you have the entire Democratic Party spearing down Hassan Piker for just saying what's on everybody's mind. But then Gavin Newsom's a serious presidential option?
Yes.
That's preposterous.
Yeah. No,
That's
I'm
absolutely
sure he's
preposterous.
fine. He's already bowed to the leaders or whatever. So he's in succession for to come next. But yeah, that's not what the people really want. That's definitely not what the people need. So, but I do think that I respect you want to be honest and authentic. I completely respect that. But I worry that we're so deep into this now that we might have to be strategic and a little misleading at times just to get. I mean, I don't like to have to do that, but I feel like it might be a necessary evil to get our voices heard, because it's gotten so far down the rabbit hole of darkness or fascism or whatever that we're going to do whatever it takes at this point. I mean, and I would rather that be just a little bit of fibbing about, what our party line is
Well, to some
versus
extent.
civil war. I don't want it to get there.
But that's like what we do to we are willing to compromise. It's kind of what that is, like politics. And I mean, Ree and I we lost him. But Ree and I'll just continue. Ree and I are in the media, so it's kind of our job to keep pushing that Overton window to the left. Whereas a candidate, you have to kind of by just nature take more of a centrist position, where you then, if you get the office, you do have to work with the opposition, and that's not necessarily being deceitful, but it's just like I want to get something done. So I think that's kind of the direction we're going there. What are your thoughts here, Joe? Oh no, we lost the sound. We lost
No,
sound.
I'm still here.
Oh,
I'm
there
still here.
you're
I'm
back.
just trying to get my phone to charge.
Gotcha. I'm panicking. You got me panicking. Go ahead.
No worries. Nothing can keep me down. No, I mean, people talk about compromise and participation and how we work to cross the aisle, but I think even that is a lot of the same clickbait and outrage, right? Like, let's not sit here and for a second pretend that Chuck Schumer's a Democrat. Let's not do that, right?
Right.
And you know what? At the end of the day, I grew up conservative, and now I'm a vehement, steadfast left-wing Antifa lunatic, and I'm proud of that. They weren't working with the left. They weren't working with the right. Everyone was always shutting each other down. So I don't like the narrative that, oh my God, when you get in, you have to play the game, because the game is whatever works. These people worship power. They worship result. And I don't come from the school of thought where the ends justify the means, because then you become anything to win. I think the means are the point. And the means that we choose to act on, that moral clarity, becomes a way in which we can ground people who've lost their way. That's the controlled opposition. Not controlled opposition. That's the opposition, right? I would rather be the person who says, no, I'm going to be a stick in the mud. This is insane, and I'm not supporting you. I believe it was February 23rd. There was a House resolution to release, Nancy Mace wanted to release all information regarding sexual predators in Congress. Almost universally failed. They all voted to protect themselves. And this week we're hearing about Swalwell. What would happen if one person was like, you're all idiots and this is insane and you can quote me, because when this blows back, I don't mind being a little aggressive about it, right?
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders has done a really good job throughout his career of being a little more aggressive at the right time and not just playing the game and acting like a moderate. He said, no, this is an issue we're fighting for. And that's what I would want to be. There's a way to work with people to get things done, right? I would have been right there, right next to Marjorie Taylor Greene when it came to the Epstein stuff. I would have also been the most evil being knocking on her door, giving her a coronary on almost everything else she's ever done in her life,
Hmm.
right? She should not have been in Congress, but on the Epstein stuff, she started to really move and shake a little. And on the issues, if you want me on your side, you have to be on that side of the people on the issues, and I'll work with you. But that doesn't mean I have to compromise my moral clarity. And maybe that gets me shot in Washington. Okay, then the next person's going to show up. No fear, right? Like that's the kind of stout heart we need to have. I'm
Yes.
pretty tired of all these like sellout, weak-willed people
Yeah.
chasing power and prestige. Like I'm here to serve.
Absolutely. And this has been kind of lost in the messaging where there's pressure to compromise, but then we forget compromise has to happen within certain boundaries. We have to
Yeah,
have a certain level of integrity. And if once we're getting into child rapists, and it's like there's no longer a compromise.
Yeah.
And for
yeah,
some reason, this is something we have to speak out loud. And that just shows you what the United States of America is these days. It's like once they're outside that border, there's no more, defaulting or there's no decorum. Once you're
yeah,
in a debate against somebody who's a convicted felon for, business fraud related to election interference, you can't act as if, oh, well, I'm sure he's not going to try to cheat this time. And that's
yeah.
oh, yeah, go ahead and talk.
No, I agree. I was just saying, yeah. I mean, the DHS has come out, the new Christy Nome. I don't even like to say his name, Mark Wayne's weirdo. Um, but his whole thing is, okay, we're going to aggressively pursue Antifa people, domestic terrorism, right? All right. Well, other than the fact that you're openly admitting you're planning a crystal knot, right? The reality is, boss, you should be going after everyone in the Epstein files.
Yeah,
The fact that not a single person in America has seen any level of loss of money, sees asset forfeiture, criminal prosecution, but we're going to go after people who are like, hey, we don't like the idea of you killing us. That's domestic terror. If you want to make a legal argument for broadening what domestic terrorism is under the law, you're going to get into dangerous territory of realizing our government fits that 99% of the time. We need people brave enough to say that, right? The president this week, for about 7 hours on a Tuesday, basically threatened us all with imminent nuclear holocaust across the entire planet.
yeah,
At what point is there going to be accountability for that? If I scream fire in a crowded auditorium, case law dictates I didn't have a freedom of speech there. As a president, you have a higher burden. And as a president who uses pretty much his own created social media, that furthers that burden. So at what point can we go in and say, maybe that was domestic terrorism? You've used fear to get a political example
yeah,
out, to get political change. Domestic terrorism is presidential policy at this point.
yeah. I want to add in too, the United States has had a history of white supremacy, and white supremacy as domestic terrorism. KKK is not designated as a terrorist group. And I think
Yep.
maybe we should take some steps in that direction too. What do you think?
That's one of the first things I would do in office. I am from Sicilian and Boricua stock, right? I look a certain way. I get it. But culturally, I was raised a certain way. There is no reason that someone should be openly proud of those beliefs in this country and feel safe. It's a declaration of intent. It's a mens rea, right? It's the declaration of I have seen these horrors and I co-sign them. That puts the burden on everyone around you to be more aware. You're creating a cultural change. I'm a big fan of the ACLU. I really love their work. I think they messed up in the 70s when they represented the neo-Nazis and said, listen, under freedom of speech, we should give them I forget which town in the name of the case, but we should give them a permit to do a march. I think that's a mistake. When you are representing a philosophy that calls for the death of a subject or subjugation of a group of people, I don't think that we should automatically say, shut up. Hey, hi Taino. I see you, Loki. Um, I don't think we should automatically tell you to shut up, but I think we should keep eyes on you and that freedom of speech maybe isn't so broad. right? If I walk into a club and say I'm going to punch someone here immediately if you're wearing a gold necklace, bad analogy, but that bouncer is going to be like, yo, get him out of here. Absolutely not. So why am I going to let a Klansman walk around? Why am I going to let a Nazi walk around? These people are terrorists.
Yeah.
Call it what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a lot of calling into the different congressional offices, and sometimes it can get a little heated. You can say cuss word here and there, and I've noticed that the staff will be like, "Well, we don't put up with this vulgar language." I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is presidential language now."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What do you mean? You hold me, just a random citizen, to a higher standard than the president?" Click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Well, it's
don't.
respectability, right? It's that respectability politics. If you have power, you could do whatever you want. But if they view you as non-essential or second class, or you don't increase their wallet, you need to know your place,
But
Yeah.
the thing is,
right?
we are increasing their wallet, is what upsets me. I'm
Yeah.
like, we are
Exactly.
paying you. I'm like, so it is a little frustrating, but yeah, I understand we're not padding their pockets with the big bucks in one setting like these corporations are, or foreign entities, or whoever is getting to them. Um, but yeah, we need to get people in there that have actual morals and
Yeah.
And I'll add too. I mean, my children, my wife is an immigrant. My children, we're a Spanish speaking household. And
Beautiful.
I've had people at school say to my kids, they go up and scream, build the wall. And it's like, that is hate speech. If you're screaming that at my kids in school, and
Yeah.
it's like, and we can't normalize a whole political party that uses hate speech as their campaign slogan. And that's where I really get frustrated too with our Democrats not calling it out for what it is. I mean,
Yeah. Every Democrat will send you a chip in email. Chip in $5 so we can beat the enemy Republican. I'm like, but they're here because of you.
mhm,
You're the problem,
mhm,
right? I'll tell people, listen, I was conservative or thought I was conservative in high school before I realized I wasn't. I'll never tell someone I'm a liberal because they'll smile, right? And allow someone to kill your kids. And then they'll go speak at the funeral and be like, here's why I'm here for you. That's not fighting. That's posture. And I'm not about that. Like, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that your kids had to deal with that in school. That's really terrible. And the fact that, I've taught in Jackson Heights. I've taught in Elmhurst. I used to do like musical theater after school teaching with kids. I teach karate to kids on Sundays now. Every kid is sensitive to this. You'll carry these comments with you the rest of your life. Even if you're tough, it becomes a part of you. Chris resists. Yes, I am a Rule 9 articles of impeachment kind of guy, and I plan on doing that every day for every crime so that I have to constantly deal with it. You know, I remember being a kid in a town that was largely Portuguese, and I was too quote unquote white to hang out with the kids of color, but I wasn't Portuguese. You know what I'm saying? So like I remember
mhm.
feeling like, wow, on a racial line, like no one wants to hang out with me. But like then I go to Stanford and my father's bumping the Boutique bangers and the Sicilians are all hanging out in the cappuccino shops and I'm like, I'm doing all right. Like why is this not translating in this little community, but this is what I am.
Yeah,
Kids deserve to be surrounded by a community that honors who they are.
yeah.
And when you have a political party normalizing erasure, normalizing like have a family for the race, have a family for this version of Christ that is invented in the last 40 years and
Mhm.
echoes no other sect of Christianity. We have to start acknowledging that it's not a fox in the hen house. It's a frickin' dragon.
Yeah,
We got to start treating it as such.
absolutely. Oh, you're getting a lot of love in the comments, so I like that, and
That's good.
I like how you're approaching these things. You're staying calm, and you're approaching things with such integrity and authenticity, and that's what is lacking in our government right now.
Thank you. I'm trying to read some of them as they pop up, but they're going, so I can't read them all. Just
Yeah.
bear with me. I am going to try and get my phone to charge again, but I'm going to be listening as
Okay.
as we keep going.
Well, if you happen to cut out, we'll just understand that it was a technical issue, and I will give you a courteous exit. Maybe let's
Thank
take a
you.
minute and tell people where to find you in case we're worried about losing you.
yes.
Sure. So you could find me on every single social media platform that is not owned by Elon Musk at JPC for CTO4. Every single platform will have an all my links within the platform, which will not only take you to legal resources and articles to help you navigate this insane world, but it will take you to all my other socials, to my campaign website, which the URL is a little too long, but I'm fixing that, which is creating community everywhere at jpcforcongress.org, I believe. And I will probably, if you're in CT4, be driving around the community trying to, do the Zoran thing and be everywhere. We have deep roots there, and I want to be easy for you to find and access. But that all my links is going to be the one-stop shop. It's got a QR code, so you can email it, you can share your friends, you can scan it. Because when you're a broke dude who refused to fundraise the first 6 months of your campaign because you want people to know you're there for them, yeah, very crafty on how you get that traditional campaign literature out there.
Absolutely. Can you tell us how people can help to make sure you get on the ballot, and what can we do today? I mean, everybody wants to act. So tell us what to do.
Absolutely. So there are two things that can be done, and I'm going to go with the harder thing first. The first is that Connecticut has some of the most restricted ballot access laws in the country. We only get 42 days to get on the ballot. I need to get roughly around 5,000 signatures. Those signatures have to come from people in the district. Those signatures have to come from people who are registered Democrats. Those registered Democrats, if they haven't already been registered Democrats for like 3 months, they could challenge all of my signatures all the way to the day of the primary. So even if I get on the ballot, Jim, the morning of our primary can be like, I challenge his access. So even if people want to change their voter registration to vote for me, we will thank you for it and you can do it, but we might have some issues. So what we're doing is we're doing a pre-registration window through a Google Sheet in the All My Links where people can go in and sign it. And then the day signatures start, I call you and then we actually get your real signature to try and collect a couple signatures before this happens. Try and extend the window a little bit in a way that's legal. The second thing people can do, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I won't ask you again, $1 or two, right? Like the reality is Jim's already raised $800,000, mostly from like Palantir and APAC and big corporations, insurance, real estate. Reality is I can't do it. Zoran is one man. The community that came around him created that movement. So if I'm out here shouting in the void, I'll shout in the void with pride. But if you rally around me, we will win, right? I will not win, but we will win, right? And so even $1 here or there helps. I've self-funded this campaign for the most part. I hate asking for money, so I don't do it. But vote your conscience, and they respect your dollar. The dollar's their god, so that makes us, have a lot of power over them. That's why boycotts and strikes work.
Yeah.
I will be back in about 30 seconds.
Okay, good. We'll give him a second. He's getting something else figured out. Bree, let me just turn it to you again. What are your thoughts, or more things that you specifically want to talk about while he's getting his?
Well, I was just going to ask him just
Yeah.
about, but we'll wait until he gets.
Okay, once he gets situated.
Yeah. I was gonna-
Well, again, let me just go through my spiel again then while we
Okay.
have a second. And that is, everybody, I want you all to be aware that our establishment representatives do not listen to us. And these primaries are critical. The establishment wants to just skip over the primaries. The establishment wants us to just consider the midterms because they are anti-democratic. And it is every candidate. I'll ask this to Joe in a moment when he comes back. But of the other candidates that I've talked to, many of them have said, as they start to develop grassroots following, a grassroots impact, they get calls from other candidates who tell them to drop out. And what we need are these primaries because they develop name recognition for a variety of candidates, because there are all kinds of down ballot offices that need to be held. And these down ballot offices sometimes are in charge of counting the vote, and they're in charge of your school board, and they're in charge of a lot of taxpayer money that then can be distributed in a way that actually helps the people and isn't submitted to grift. Throughout the United States, there are a lot of offices where there is no Democrat running against a Republican, and I think a lot of that is because the Democrats oppose these primaries. So we're back. You're back with us, Joe. I was just giving some
Back with you.
things to listen to.
Absolutely. Yes, CTO4 is where I am. And, from the day one of my campaign, I've tried to highlight other organizations. David Hogg's Leaders We Deserve is trying to oust some bad Democrats.
Yes.
Amanda Littman's run for something that has been an amazing resource for me, even though they don't necessarily focus on federal elections. Their advice and their program for local elections, A, is just a great mission, and I think it's going to be very helpful. But B, that helps me figure out for sure I'm going against Jim, and these are the things I've learned, and here's how I'm going to apply it. So the real important thing is, take heart because the front line is everywhere, right? I don't matter. I really don't. One vote might not change enough, but 130 people from the Courage candidacy groups,
Yeah.
right? Plus getting a couple of bad Democrats out, of which I do believe Jim is one, right? If 200 progressives try and sweep things, he's going to use his power to slow things down. He's only ever co-sponsored one or two bills that AOC has done. He is not as progressive as he seems. So we want to get the sticks in the mud out. So multiple vector points are converging. And we really do have a shot, but it's kind of like the trench run on the Death Star, right? Like we got a shot and we can win. We can also not. So a lot of things need to go right, and we can make them right. It's just we're gonna feel powerless along the way. But we got to do it together. So that's why I'm putting my feet to the fire because in the brackish water of Connecticut politics, no one involved in Connecticut politics is going to try and throw their weight against a mess that's coming because then they'll never work again. But an outsiders can take that hit. So that's what I'm here to do. And I've gotten a lot of love for it. I've got a lot of hate for it. But that tells me something's working. So put yourself out there for sure. Put yourself out there.
It's
I
why
see
we play.
the comments asking, is it CT-04?
Yes. So Connecticut District 4 is Greenwich, Connecticut, Stamford, Norwalk, right? Darien, all the towns on the coast leading up to Bridgeport, Connecticut. And then just south of Danbury, we have Ridgefield, Reading, Weston, Easton. We have parts of Oxford, so parts of the Naugatuck Valley, which is great because I love Oxford. I grew up in Naugatuck, so it was a joy for me to do the research and see because I grew up with a different congressional representative those 15 years I was in Naugatuck. So we're good districts. Connecticut consistently ranks second or third for income inequality among congressional districts. So our district deals with a lot of that.
Mhm.
Wolf of Wall Street is pretty much based on people who live in our district, right? It's that kind of thing, but we're also the working class,
Yeah.
right? We've had a healthy working class population since before the country even became this country, and we've been making that engine go. And I want to reflect that
Yeah.
that group of people.
And somebody in the comments mentioned I need to get you on with Waj. And yeah, I mean, and I want everybody in the comments or everybody who watches this replay to understand we do have this power. And it like today is the battle, everybody. It's today. It's not the primaries.
It's
It's not the
today.
midterms. It is right now. And it's the
Yeah,
messaging. And you're doing such a wonderful
yeah,
job. The pressure. And it's like whether you get in or whether we just pressure the guy who's in there to do better, that's both of those are a win. But us just being
yeah.
frozen out is when we lose.
Yeah.
Well, and they love that, right? They love it when we're helpless and we go, it doesn't matter. They're all corrupt, whatever. I'm not going to vote, right? I'm not going to call my congressman. And to be honest, maybe we're right to feel that way. It does feel often like our work doesn't matter, but it's hard for them to deny us when we absolutely flood them and refuse to shut up.
Mhm.
So
Unite.
there's no hope in giving up. Sorry, I just heard you. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't. I was just saying we do have.
Oh, then it froze.
Oh no,
It
the internet
froze.
is cutting you off.
The tech bros are getting us. That's what
They're
happens
getting it.
there.
I got shadow banned on Instagram last week while I was dealing with the FISA stuff, and I'm like, I know this is like a Palantir coding thing. They definitely do not push progressive candidates online, and it's very
Oh
frustrating.
no, we lost her entirely.
No,
I'll add
well,
her back on. I'll add her
we'll
back
try
on.
and get it back.
I was
But
gonna
yeah,
say
the fights
go.
today. Sicilian and Puerto Rican, everybody knows a guy, right? And I've
Oh,
hooked
perfect.
people up, and we've networked, and that's what we do. So if you know somebody, please reach out to the campaign,
Yeah.
right? You might be the power broker that you don't realize you are.
Yep.
You really might change the world.
Anybody in that area can get out a clipboard and get 100 signatures, and they add up pretty fast. Go ahead, Rhea. I'm
Yeah.
sorry we lost you there for a second.
Sorry,
No.
the internet is sexist.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just disappeared. I was like, no, I don't know what I missed, but yeah, I hope that the people in your area see this and that they will get involved and help you get signatures. I'll definitely share this out to any of the viewers and any of my viewers in your area and ask if
Thank you.
please get involved. I have to say, I love my community that I've built here on Substack. They are so proactive. They are so engaged and educated on what's going on. And, a lot of times if I ask him, hey, this is happening, make a call, hundreds of calls. I mean, I get people call me saying, take that down. You
Yeah.
are bothering me. I'm like, good, it's working. I'm like, so I will do what I can to help you. I like what I'm
Thank you.
hearing from you and anything you can tell us about, I assume that you're
Yeah.
for universal health care and bring
Absolutely.
money out of politics and
Absolutely.
anything additional, your stances. I'm sure we'd love to
Sure.
hear.
I can give you most of it in a stump speech under 30 seconds, right?
Perfect.
So first off, I have no campaign manager. I have no social media manager. I'm running everything, which is why my Instagram's really built up and my Substack and my Blue Sky and my YouTube are not, right? So I'm doing everything through wit and will, everything through just sheer bootstrap. If bootstraps were the way, I'd be a billionaire and I'd be Batman, right? Which is my
Yeah.
friend's Batman, right? So universal healthcare, if it existed, my father would be alive. I want universal healthcare not just because it's right for the country, but frankly, to avenge my father. My father died of a preventable heart attack at 51. He lived 8 miles from a hospital, but because he had switched around jobs and right, opened his own business, didn't have health insurance for a while, and then,
Yeah.
when it came time, 51 years old, we didn't catch something we should have caught. And he had been in a car accident, so he had back issues. So when he felt it, he was just like, oh, I've been here. I know what I'm doing, right? He should be alive today. He should. So I want universal health care, not just for logical, good policy reasons, but in a belligerent, missing my father sort of way. So I will stay up late at effing night and I will work on that. And I've been in the halls of Congress. They have great acoustics. I will haunt that place like the Phantom of the Opera. I will
Yep.
sing loud and proud in a way they can't drag me out. We will get universal health care because it's $11,000 a minute for this Iran war that none of us want.
Yeah.
We
I
have the money.
I want to say I'm sorry for your loss on that. I'm 51, and it's one of those things where we've seen. I remember being a young parent, and your kid has a fever, and you're like, I don't know if I can. Your back's against the wall with economic terrorism. Can I take my kid in? What's this bill going to be? Is it going to be $100,000? And kids
Yeah.
die because of this because we don't go
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
and cancer for our young youth is on the rise and
Yes.
and my son already he's like I'm not going to the doctor, we don't have the money right now, and that breaks my heart
Yeah.
I'm just like, what are we doing in the richest country in the world?
Yeah.
Just I'll never understand. I spent 2 weeks, walking the halls of Congress trying to get, the representatives to sign the discharge petition to release the files, and I was just shocked at
Thank you.
how yeah, I mean, I was just shocked at how many, foreign flags that I seen in the halls
Yeah.
and, how just how they didn't seem to care. I mean, you'd walk in and they were like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
so oblivious it seemed to what was going on, and I'm just like and that was we wasn't even as deep into it, but I've been seeing what's coming for a while, and
Yeah.
but I feel like they are just oblivious, they're just like, because they have health care, so why
Yep.
would they care?
Good
Because
enough for them. Yep.
yeah, their
Yeah.
bills are paid, their life, their little view is good. So I think
Yeah.
we need to maybe change that, maybe have our representatives have the same health care that we have. I
I
really
did.
think that would be a good idea. I mean, and because you can't, it seems like I don't know if this is just a human thing or what, because I can care about somebody I don't have that I've not experienced their trials and tribulations. I can still empathize with them, but that doesn't seem to be a universal human thing for some reason.
Yeah.
Uh, but maybe if we take that from them, then suddenly they'll be able to be like, "Oh, wait a minute, it's, you
Yeah.
also need health care because I want health care."
So quick backstory, right? I was living in New York when Zoran ran. And so it inspired me to move back. So when the pandemic started, I moved to New York because I just needed more money and I could make more money. I moved back. I make $5 to $10 an hour less than I would make for my same job in New York, and I don't have healthcare right now. Right? That's a sacrifice I've made on an immediate level simply to campaign. I have done the math, and it might be different if I make it in. It might be different in that 9 month window. But as of like January of this year, just one term, just 2 years making congressional pay, I would make more money than I've made my entire working life in
Wow.
2 years. And that's not even where they make their money. They make it through insider trading and bribes. And, oh, I like you, so I'm going to give to your charity that you can then use to pay your staff. So they have bank accounts hidden as these sort of polite discourses. So I wrote a bill that I know will fail. I know will fail. I'm not an idiot. But I wrote a bill that essentially says, on top of all the campaign finance reforms, on top of, you know, for every getting money out of politics, right? A congressional representative must adopt the minimum wage of the state or district of which they represent.
Love it.
And I'm writing that bill to fail because when it fails, and it will fail,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go out to your district and be like, he doesn't care about what you go through.
Yeah.
That's the litmus test. I don't expect that to be a thing people want to do, but you need to acknowledge how hard it is. Think for a freaking minute. Because when that insurance company is giving you $500,000 for your campaign, and then you say, yeah, $20 copay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, it's not fine. We lose $200 or $100 or $90 every day we call out of work, plus the doctor bill, plus the copay, plus the premium, plus,
Yep.
to the point where it's not worth dying over.
Yeah.
You know how many people I know, good people, who they love the people they work with. They're not trying to be offensive. They go into work sick. They don't have another option. Well, who's going to watch my kids? Daycare's expensive. It's a genocide. Connecticut District 4 is living in economic segregation. But there's definitely a class war. There's definitely an economic genocide happening right now. And it's been happening for decades and decades and decades since this country began. And if we don't change those conditions, nothing changes. It's become an unofficial campaign slogan from ages because it's come up so much when talking to constituents. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Mhm.
And when they're in the room making decisions on our lives, when they don't live the life or death equation we live, they're already compromised, even if their heart's in the right place, which it isn't. Full stop.
Yeah.
So I've written that bill for that reason, because I know what it's like to lose, because I'm living and dying next to y'all.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is.
Well, that's what
Like,
is people in there that understand what
Yes.
the average person is living, because that's the only way. Like you said, we can't change it unless we change it. You know?
yeah,
And I'm going to say too, there's a reason that people like you and me too, and we get a media freeze out because the second people hear this message, they start nodding their heads, and it doesn't take long. That veil of oppression that we've all been indoctrinated to live under, it's stretched thin right now. And I think people are seeing through. People are leaving the oligarch media, and I'm just like, yeah, don't have to listen to it. You can come listen to rational people,
Yeah.
and you
yeah,
feel better. You get your brain reprogrammed. And I want to say, this is why the reason they don't want you in this campaign, because they want you to concede without playing. It's like, but this is why we play the games. You might be
yes,
100-point underdog, but once the whistle blows and once the game starts, a lot can happen. And I don't think that big money can buy these elections because they're so out of
yeah,
touch. The ads they run do not address the issues, and you are.
yeah. At the end of the day, when your constituents are leaving your town hall feeling kind of okay for like half a second, but they know their material conditions aren't going to change, you failed them. You faked listening, but you didn't listen. Reality dictates that this is a job. I want to approach it as if it's healthcare. I want to approach it as if it's, emergency services. I want to approach it as if it's education, right? There's an old George Carlin bit that says you don't need a formal conspiracy when everyone goes to the same private schools and they attend the same board meetings and they golf in the same clubs and they know what's good for them. They don't need to hop on a call in order to vote for what's good for them. irony of that is they're also on that call, right? The tech oligarchs are cozying on up. We see a class system. It's not even veiled. It's not even veiled. Chuck Schumer just came up with a quote like 3 months ago. It was like, well, these people, they're at the gym with you on the cardio machine. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to be. And I'm like, okay, well, you know how many funerals I've gone to that were preventable?
Yeah.
One of the things I hate about, I'll be very vulnerable with you. One of the things I hate about campaigning is I have to wear a suit, and that's just not me. But like, I don't want to look like John Fetterman in a hoodie either, right? But like, when I wear a suit, it reminds me of weddings and funerals. So I feel like I'm going to the principal's office when I wear a suit. It's like, what am I going to grieve today? Like, there's a trauma in these threads for me.
Yeah.
And the people wearing these threads have created policies that have killed people I love.
Yeah.
Right. So even wearing a suit as a class symbol, when I get ready for things like this, a part of me feels very solemn. It's like, how do I bring the joy and be myself when I know what's on the line?
I
But
if Fetterman probably could have got away with wearing a hoodie had he been a decent person and not said one thing, did another. I think that just become an easy attack for him because it's like, oh, scumbag in a sweatshirt, rather than
yeah,
a good human in a sweatshirt. So maybe
Yeah.
you
That's
can get away with wearing your just regular t-shirts or whatever you like. Maybe
yeah,
you can get away with that with good morals and value.
yeah. I'm tireless most of the time. I like to keep it open. That's my little rebellion. Like, all right, I'll look fly. I'll feel good, but I'm going to have no tie, right? Or I'm going to wear a Star Wars tie or,
There you go.
something of that nature. Because I shouldn't hide who I am or apologize for who I am, right? Like
Well,
I'm going to be listening to under this shirt. I have a Circle Jerks t-shirt because I went and saw them at College Street Music Hall in New Haven last week. Right? Like I just threw this shirt on. Like I know who I am, and you should know who I am too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Well, this.
can
Yeah.
clean up.
Well, the stuff that is normalized in our society is so offensive, and then we get offended by things that should just be our ability to have fun. And I'm frankly, I'm tired of having child rapists dictate to me how I should behave or have them tell me that my work isn't good enough when it's because of my work that everything happens. And I think everybody's fed up with this. Where we have to live
Yeah.
in confronted with economic terrorism. We never have enough to get by. Every single time these billionaires have a hard day, we're expected to give more. We're expected to
Yep.
send our children to die in their wars, but billionaires are never asked to give up even $1.
Yeah.
Yes. John Stewart has a great quote where he says, our capitalism is where we socialize their losses, but we capitalize their gains. Right? Like I grew up in the too big to fail generation. Like everyone was in high school in 2008 to 2011. We watched the divorces happen. We watched people lose the house. We watched people move because that's just what happened when everything crashed. Meanwhile, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all these big companies, it ended up leading into the 99%, marches. Um, we were told, oh, it's too big to fail. It'll change the economy. You know how many people lost their homes and then private equity would end up going and getting all that? My father got his first home ever a week before everything crashed. Up until the day he died, he was dealing with not losing it, right? Up until the day he died, he was dealing with potential bankruptcy court, and it killed him. It
Stress.
killed him. So at the end of the day, like, I don't believe in socializing capitalist gains or socializing capitalist losses. I believe in socializing capitalist gains, right? If I'm making $1 trillion, there's no reason I shouldn't just walk home with a clean bill from my hard work and make sure all of my employees are flourishing, the schools in my district are flourishing, because a rising tide raises all boats. Ultimately, I think that's a good thing, right? Everyone should be doing a little bit better. And so there's this demonic view of socialist policy as if it isn't the moderate position most of the time. And many countries that these politicians visit all the time, so they know, they talk with these people. They've gone to Japan to see the rail. They've gone to Berlin and seen healthcare. They've gone to Ireland and seen how things are going with restoring the Irish language. Right? They know they could do better. They just
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want to. They
Yeah.
want to do the job.
Well, we're kind of closing in on time. I want to give you some time for some final thoughts, but this has been just delightful. I appreciate that you're running here. I want to talk. I'll send your contact information to some of my other creator friends. They'll
Thank
bring
you.
you on because it's the message, and we got to
Yeah.
re-educate America. And this job doesn't end in the primaries. It doesn't end in the midterms. It ends when we all have universal health care and a roof over our head, and
Yeah.
enough food and free education. We're going to fight that battle, and we're going to
Yeah.
have robust primaries because it allows great candidates like you to get name recognition. There's always another election, is there not? There are all these important roles that need to be filled by people of integrity. And if our democratic establishment doesn't want to support good people who are going to represent the people, then we can vote them out. And the big money's not going to cut it anymore. They think they can. They think they can win with AI. My kids can identify AI now before I can. They're like, it's fake. It's just like when a commercial comes on the television, you're like, I'm out. Your brain checks out. You don't even see it. And so they're over reliant on money, going door to door, showing integrity, shaking people's hands like you're doing. That's how you're going to win these districts. So I applaud you. Keep fighting the fight.
Thank you.
Reed, you have a final thought here?
No, just keep doing what you're doing. And, if I can have you on again in the future to help out,
Please.
I'm happy to. Just
I love that.
We'll get up every morning and just talk. Yeah.
Schedule, so
we'll do coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, I just started doing the live thing, so I'm still learning, but more than happy to have you on. I love what you've had to say today. I want more candidates like you running. This is what we need. This is the change that will actually make the change that we need, like having people that just care and say what they mean, like that's what we need so bad. It's just you're a breath of fresh air, so thank you.
Thank you. I'm working on it, right? I'll never be perfect, but I'll be myself and I'll grow. And that's what it's about.
Of anybody, really.
Thank you.
And one last time where people can find you for the last trailing out thing.
Sure. JPC for CTO4. JPC for CTO4 at any single social media website that is not owned by Elon Musk. And all my links and all of the bios will connect you to everything. Reach out to my campaign. I don't have a campaign social media manager. I will eventually respond to you. It'll be me. Who doesn't?
Yeah, you should definitely. I see someone saying in the comments to invest in your Substack page, and I would honestly recommend that as well. I know Instagram is great, but it is kind of where the younger generation is.
Yeah.
Seems like Substack is where the more informed generation is. So not a bad idea to maybe try to build this one up too, if you have time.
Yeah, no, I want to do more. I have all the old videos saved. It's just about plugging and playing and cutting them for the medium and doing that grunt work. But I'm not afraid to roll in my sleeves and do it. It's, working and going to law school and campaigning. It's a lot. I'm doing what I can. I promise. It's
we appreciate
any help here would be hot.
Well, we'll do our best to help you. We appreciate you. The comments have been phenomenal. People love what you have to say. So I'm looking forward to having more talks to you. And thanks for being here. Good luck to you. Stay in the fight, Joe. Give them hell.
I will. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you. Thanks, Reed.
Bye.
Be safe.
Bye-bye.